Howdy, YouTube, and play the jolly here. Spirit of Christmas trapped inside of a snowman, piloting it like a mech. We're here with background NPC. We love her. We know her. Fantastic, absolute diva and queen. This is Can we get more characters like this? I don't know what she's talking to. What about? Frick if I know. I didn't look at this before because I'd be surprised with you guys, especially when it comes to like background NPC. I never know what she's going to say, but I know she's going to be very polite and delightful.
Well, I've been sitting with this video for a few weeks now, ever since I finished Clair Obscure. You know how—
Okay. From what I hear, great game. Immediately jumped into an ad. That's unfortunate.
Because it gave me a tool.
You know how sometimes a character really sticks with you, like they just hit you in a way that you weren't expecting? Well, that's exactly what happened to me with Gustav, and
it's pretty rare that happens these days, honestly. There's a lot of characters I know I'm not going to like, very few I know I'm not going to like, and then end up liking, less so end up loving as well. That's a rare feat, unfortunately, these days. I think the one that I fell in love, let's see, who did I fall in love with most this year? Probably, I'm forgetting his name. I'm kind of blanking out. Sorry. I'm having one of those days. But it's the main character from, I immediately forgot about to call it. We just finished Dragon Age Veilguard today. My brain is fried, dude. I am so sorry. I hate that game. It's so bad. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Henry, that was it. I fell in love with Henry. I played the first one in preparation for the second one. Loved it. It's so freaking good. I love Henry. I love a lot of the characters. Well, actually, I love a handful of the characters. Some of the characters I'd like a lot, but I wouldn't say love. Frankly, an amazing game. If you haven't played Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and you want to play 2, go ahead and play 2. 1 will help you understand some things. Well, it'll help you be more excited for things that are happening in 2. But frankly, you don't need to play it, and 1 is the worst version of the 2. I recommend playing 2 for sure, though.
thinking about the type of character he is, the type of man that he is, made me also think about Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. And then from there—
I haven't played that here. It's amazing, though. It's not on my list. Maybe one day if I run out of games, but I can't see myself playing it. It doesn't feel like my kind of game.
I got thinking about Wonder from Shadow of the Colossus. Now, you might be—
I also never played, but I've seen other people play like snippets of it. Nothing long form because I don't want to watch it. It looks really boring. But I understand how amazing it is. I've heard everything about it. I know the twist already. I know everything you do. It's a pretty simple formula.
Wondering what an engineer, a samurai, and a tragic monster hunter all have in common. Well, that's kind of what I'd like to talk about today. Each of these men demonstrate in their own way what happens when unconditional sacrifice out of love forces you to become someone you may have never thought you'd be. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's necessary.
Sometimes on the way to your journey, on the way to your destination, or even your purpose, you find a better purpose. And that's how life works. Sometimes you don't end up where you thought you were going to end up. Sometimes you end up somewhere better.
And sometimes it's a bit terrifying. Similar to my Arthur Morgan video, this one is going to be—
She had some things to say about Arthur Morgan, let me tell you.
We're going to go a bit deeper, and fair warning, there will definitely—
she honestly did a really good job of selling me on playing the game. I bought Red Dead Redemption 2 for the Christmas sale. Still haven't played it because I knew I wasn't going to play it anytime soon. There's a lot of other things I wanted to play and some games I wanted to play that were coming out this year. Frankly, some of them have been disappointments. The only one that I think, well, if I got around to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I lost my job earlier this year, so I didn't feel comfortable buying new games like for full price. So I think the only one I will do that with is Pokemon, and then I haven't decided whether I'm playing Borderlands 4 or not. I've platinumed all 7 Borderlands games. And if I don't platinum this one, that's probably the end of me caring a lot about Borderlands. Frankly, Randy Pitchford's killed that dream for me over and over and over. And then Outer Worlds 2, which honestly looks phenomenal. Like, it looks so in-depth and fun. I cannot wait to play that.
Spoilers for all 3 games, so if you haven't played through them and you want to go in blind, maybe save this one for later. All right, let's dive in.
I can tell you right now, I'm not playing any of those games. Like, if I were going to play one, Expedition 33, I think I might, if it's on Game Pass still, when I get Game Pass for Outer Worlds 2.
And kick things off with the man that sparked the idea for this whole video. For those who come after. 5 words that define Gustav's entire existence. 5 words that by the end of Clair Obscur feel like both a blessing and a curse. Now, I basically had 0 expectations going into this game, and I absolutely did not
I think everyone had 0 expectations going into this game, and then every single person who's played it has given it like a glowing review. It blew them away.
expect to meet a character like Gustav, but I just have to talk about him because his story is such a good representation of what it means to sacrifice everything you are for what others need you to become. Gustav isn't a character who just so happens to care about people. Being useful to others, serving others, caring for others is who Gustav is down to his very core. He's willing to give up his own dreams, his own future, his own safety to live up to that calling. To touch on his design for just a minute, it points you to exactly this idea. His design is intentional. His design is attractive. It pulls you in and it makes you want to
He
know more.
also looks very sad and broken down, which is depicted entirely. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you played the game, but that feels like what they're coming with this character. He looks like he wants to protect the people. He looks like he's ready to do whatever it takes, but also he is worn down by doing that his entire life.
About him and his world. His prosthetic arm
But he's
is
not gonna give
not
up.
some sleek sci-fi steampunk thing that
Oh, prosthetic arm. Okay, yeah, I'm guessing he lost his arm trying to help somebody.
just looks cool. It's heavy, clunky, mechanical, and clearly built from spare parts. It creates this immediate curiosity about who he is and why he does the things that he does. And his arm ties perfectly into his overcharge mechanic. He builds up power slowly, then releases everything he has when his team needs it the most. When he lost his arm, he literally designed part of himself to be more useful, even if it might not have been the most convenient solution. That's just who Gustav is.
Well, that sounds like something I would do. Jesus, like if I'm in a video game or something, I will take on the role that is the most useful. Not really something I should do all the time, but I usually try to balance out whatever is already there, even if it's not my strong suit.
His clothes are practical and worn. Even his face looks weathered, like someone who has spent years hunched over blueprints, building contraptions, doing everything they can to help and contribute to those around them, sacrificing comfort for purpose. But it goes deeper than just his tools or his techniques. Watch Gustav write in his journal throughout Act 1. Every entry, every innovation, every hard-earned lesson, it's all being documented for apprentices he may never see again. For people he may never meet, he's pouring his life's work into pages, not caring about recognition or credit so that others can benefit. He's building a legacy of knowledge that will outlive him and go on to impact generations to come. His studies, his inventions, and innovations, this is where Gustav's story really begins, way before
Okay,
any of the devastating
okay.
events of the game. And what's interesting
You think he wanted to become like an inventor and builder of stuff, or he did that to be useful?
is that he has spent so many years preparing for those who come after as more of an abstract concept. Future generations, apprentices, the greater good, willingly giving up personal relationships and individual dreams for this higher purpose. But he's never really considered what might happen when those who come after are suddenly right in front of him. What happens when they have a face, a laugh, a heartbeat you hear when you hug them? That's exactly what we get to see as the game begins. Enter Mayel and Sophie.
Oh, is that what kicks off his journey? He finally actually goes out and meets those people, and he's like, oh, well, now I have to save them.
The people who make those who come after deeply personal for Gustav. Mayel isn't his biological sister, but she might as well be. She's his living legacy, and as you play the game, you see that she's the embodiment of everything his philosophy actually means. And then there's Sophie. Sophie is the romantic love he found despite his devotion to duty. And when you go beyond the surface of their relationship, you find an even deeper layer of what she represents. Gustav is so future-focused, so wanting to build a better world for others, so sure that things can and will change that he has 0 reservations when it comes to having children. His mindset is so innately focused on building a better world for those around him and those who come after. Unfortunately, Sophie disagrees and they end their relationship. But their opposing views give us another window into just how
That's
much Gustav
sad.
cares for others. It's almost like it's not even coming from decisions. It's just who he is at his core. He's a man who knows that his purpose is to serve. Both relationships show the same pattern. Genuine
I mean, it
deep
sounds
love
like
and a weight
kind of a sad life to constantly serve, but also you'll probably made a lot of people happy, and that's a more full life than most people live nowadays.
of responsibility for others that never leaves his shoulders. And you can see the tension this builds as the story begins, because up until this point, it seems like Gustav has mostly thought of those who come after as people he'd never meet. But with Mayel and Sophie, that's beginning to change. They are right here, right now, and he would give up everything to protect them. Then everything in his world begins to crumble. The prologue ends with Sophie's death from the gommage, and I was just totally speechless at this point. I mean, that has to be one of the
They
top
broke
5
up so
best
she
game
can
intros
die?
of all time. And the game, gosh, doesn't even give you or Gustav any time to process it. The mission continues. He throws himself into facing the paintress, doing everything he can to make Sophie's death mean something and to protect Mael. But then the mission goes catastrophically wrong. Most of his team dies, and Gustav wakes up in Spring Meadows, stumbling through a field of bodies. The man who has spent his entire life serving and sacrificing for others is surrounded by failure. And he has this moment where it seems like it was all for nothing, and everything
killed them, though?
just seems so meaningless.
Now I kinda wanna play
feel
the
like
game,
this
find
was
out.
such a relatable moment. I mean, we've all been there, right? Working so hard for something that suddenly feels like it was all for nothing. Like it all gets ripped away one way or another in an instant. For Gustav, he decides that there's no point in continuing. This great engineer, this man who has always had a solution, wants to give up. Because when everything you've sacrificed your life for proves inadequate to protect the people that you love the most, what's left? Thankfully, as her name might suggest, Lune finds him and pulls him out of the shadows. And in that moment of absolute despair, Gustav finds something to hold on to, seeking out Maya. When the circumstances demand that they move forward, he puts
Okay.
aside his feelings and makes the choice to let go of the mission and find his sister. Even though we know that he's deeply loyal to the mission, his love and care for others shines through. And once again, he shows us the level of sacrifice and service he's willing to go to for those close to him. This is just another way he puts "for those who come after" into action. Even when it's not about humanity in general, but about one specific person. He is ready and willing to give all of who he is. His final stand against Renoir
Man, that
was
rallied him real
honestly
fast. Holy crap.
devastating. He knows that he won't survive, but he does it anyway to give Mael and the group time to escape, sacrificing his future so she
Okay.
can have one. And when he dies protecting her, his prosthetic powers down for the last time. All that engineering, all that preparation, he spends his final moments on the person who mattered most. His core beliefs never changed, but Mael teaches him that those who come after aren't just concepts in a journal or unseen generations to come. They are the real people all around you, the family and loved ones that you'd sacrifice everything for. And as a side note here with Gustav's story, I just want to say that I really appreciated that the game didn't just replace him with one of the existing female characters. Even though I loved all of them and they were
Yeah,
all
I'm
unique and
glad
special in
too.
their own ways, I
If it was all women, that just would have felt like women empowerment. Even if it was a great game, it still would have been lingering in the back of your mind. Why did they replace the lovable guy with another woman? Like, I think it's important that you have all these different viewpoints. And his is probably the most powerful in this situation because he's not doing it for himself.
was honestly so happy to see Verso get introduced. We get yet another strong and complex male character to lead the story, something that has gotten so rare in some of our Western games, and he was just as dynamic, just as valuable to the story, and it felt like such a respectful way to handle the transition. But while Gustav's story is about discovering what your principles mean when they become personal, Jin Sakai's story is about what happens when your principles and your love for people are at war, and what you're willing to sacrifice when love wins. I won't lie, when Ghost of Tsushima was first announced, the weeb in me was reignited.
Okay, so he dies pretty early on then to make way for this new dude? Okay, I'm just catching up. I haven't played the game. So, honestly, that's pretty crazy that you spend like the beginning with this guy you just fall in love with because he's so kind and considerate, and then like he just does the thing he wanted to do, and that's the end of his story, and you move on with someone else. Also, very accurate to what would actually happen. Sometimes you just do something, and it's for the good of other people, and they get to move on, and you don't. I believe that's the entirety of Spider-Man's story. He's just constantly stuck in high school in all the Marvel movies because they just won't let him leave and move on with his life. Everyone else he helps gets to move on. Like even Venom goes on to be a good person and becomes anti-Venom, and then just everyone moves on except Spider-Man, who is never going to get to stop being Spider-Man. He's never going to stop. He's never going to like leave. Whether they put him in high school, you know, he left high school in like the 70s. He has been out of high school a very long time, but they will not let him move on from that because they want to keep cashing in on kids wanting to be Spider-Man, despite the fact that the story means Peter Parker. And the only times they did let Peter Parker move on, they made him worse than Miles Morales or like a rundown, miserable person so that the other Spider-Man, like Miles Morales or whoever else they throw in the story, could look like a better person than him. He's just constantly stuck in you're here to make everyone else happy, never yourself.
And I went into the game expecting gorgeous Japanese landscapes and really cool katana fights. Yes, I did get both of those things and more, but what I did not expect was to watch someone sacrifice everything that made them who they were, one impossible choice at a time. Jin Sakai starts as the perfect samurai. Honor above all. Fight with dignity. Follow the code even when your enemies don't. These weren't simply rules to live by, they were his entire moral compass, the foundation of everything he had built his identity on. And who taught him all of this? His uncle, Lord Shimura. After Jin lost his parents, his uncle became
Also,
everything
don't
to
know
him.
this.
Father,
Honestly, I wouldn't mind playing this. It seems like it could be up my alley, but I also like get like these like Sekiro, Dark Souls vibes from it, and that's not really my vibe. Elden Ring was so much fun to play, but I also never finished it because it's not my style of game. I got over 100 hours. I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like from here on, it's going to start feeling like I get less and less enjoyment out of it. It's going to get diminishing returns, and I'm going to eventually get sick of this game. And I don't want to be sick of this game. I would like to quit while I still love this game entirely.
teacher, the last family he had. So when Jin follows the samurai code, he's not just following tradition, he's honoring the man who saved him, raised him, and adopted him as his own. This dynamic is what makes the story and his character so impactful. What Jin goes through is so heartbreaking. The entire game, we witness this constant war inside him that completely rips him apart. When the Mongols invade and start massacring his people, Jin and the samurai fight honorably.
Okay, to be fair, I'm on the side of the Mongols. No offense. I really like the Mongols. In history, they had like probably the greatest empire. And honestly, no crime. They had no crime because if you committed crime on their territory, you die. Everyone was too scared to commit crime. And they had the best like postal service too. Like nothing got lost in the postal service because harsh punishments, and no one tried to ever steal anyone else's packages and anything like that. If you sent something, it was getting where it was going on their territory.
Changing tactics isn't even a thought at first, but as he sees more and more that their traditions are not working, he's forced to start admitting that everything Lord Shimura taught him might be wrong, at least for the reality that he's currently
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was wrong, it just means it's outdated, if anything.
facing. And that's such a difficult thing to face, especially when you're talking about the person who's essentially responsible for your entire life. For Jin, it means potentially sacrificing his relationship with the only family he has left. I remember the first time that I made Jin use poison. You can almost hear it in his voice, see the conflict on his face, because good men don't fight that way, right? At least that's what his uncle taught him. Jin doesn't start fighting dirty because he stops caring about honor. He does it because saving his home and his people become more important than following
You could do this? You could poison dart people from the bushes? Hold on, I might play this game. This appeals to me, stealth and blow darts.
the traditions and rules. Every poison dart, every stealth attack, every tactic his uncle would hate, you can see it eating away at him inside because he knows that he's sacrificing pieces of who he thought he was. But through all of this transformation,
If you're killing bad guys, it's not a problem. Don't worry about that.
through all of these choices that chip away at everything Lord Shimura taught him, Jin never stops loving his uncle. He's able to separate the person from the ideals and beliefs, and that's such a powerful thing. He's able to look past his uncle's way of life and still see him with love as a person, as a human, as his family. Lord Shimura isn't just a sum of what he might think or believe, he's Jin's flesh and blood, and Jin never loses sight of that throughout the entire game. But as he becomes someone that his father figure would consider wholly dishonorable, Jin resolves himself to sacrifice Lord Shimura's approval and respect for the greater good. Every choice to fight from the shadows doesn't feel like breaking tradition. It feels like betraying the person who raised him, sacrificing that sacred relationship for his people's survival. And every tactic that dishonors the code feels like a stab in the heart that has been loved by his
That's
uncle
fair.
for
Yeah,
years.
it's hard to just throw away things you believed your entire life. But unfortunately, if you fight with honor, you will eventually lose to someone who does not fight with honor. And what kind of world is that you're leaving behind where the people with honor die and all that's left is people who don't respect rules or other people or their lives or even just like the sanctity of life in general? Sometimes you have to bend the rules to make the world a better place. And that's okay. It's all right to not fight with honor if the other person is doing the same.
And years. The thing about Jin's transformation is that it's not about becoming evil or him losing his moral compass. It's about discovering that sometimes love demands that you sacrifice the very things that make you you. His love for the people of Tsushima, his need to protect them, becomes more important than his relationship with the code, and eventually more important than his relationship with the man who taught him that code. He's willing to sacrifice his identity, his honor, his family bonds, everything that defined him, to save people who might never even know his name. As the game comes to a close, Jin saves Tsushima, but he becomes someone his uncle, his father, considers fundamentally.
Okay, but you can't live up to other people's standards that they set for you. It's your life. And honestly, they're dead because they made those decisions. They lived that life. And while they might be okay with that, maybe you want to do something different with your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do not let anyone else put their expectations on you. You're not responsible for the version of you they created in their head.
Immoral and shameful. Someone who has been sentenced to death by the Shogun. And when he finally faces Lord Shimura in that final duel, it's yet another moment that is just so devastating because there's no happy ending here for either of them. Lord Shimura genuinely believes to his core that duty trumps all, including his own family, and the love that he has for his nephew, and he forces Jin's hand, who has no choice but to defend himself. In the end, Jin sacrifices everything. His life as a samurai, his family, his place in the world, even his name. The game ends with him all alone, and that loneliness isn't just about being by himself.
That's why he's a ghost.
It's about the price that he paid for choosing his people over his principles, his love for them over his loyalty to duty. He gave
That
up
sounds like the right choice to me. You chose your people over what you wanted.
everything that made him who he was so that others could live free. And I can't really talk about Jin and Ghost of Tsushima without at least acknowledging the elephant in the room. I just don't understand. Why do we need to take an already established character from a very successful game and essentially replace them with a random girl boss protagonist?
I forgot this was coming out. Yeah, I know there's some issues with the voice actors being kind of political and frankly really too talkative online. But that doesn't mean this is going to be bad. If it's made by the same people, it could still be very, very good, and they just tell her to shut up.
Nobody knows or cares about. Why? Everyone loves Jin, and
no one knew or cared about Jin before they played the game. That's how you fall in love with a character. It could happen again easily.
Would love to see more of him. So why are we replacing him? And then
why
are we replacing him with a woman in the Edo period of Japan? For me, Ghost
okay,
of Yotei
that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. I can see that.
It's like a reskinned version of the first game that has made the bold and brave decision to give us a female lead instead of just continuing Jin's story and basically guaranteeing the success of the game. I don't know.
Well, that doesn't guarantee it. It could still be really bad if it's made by different people, which it could very well be if this is what they're doing with this game. It's been long enough, right?
On track, Jin's love led him to sacrifice his identity and ultimately showed that protecting others was what was most important. So what happens when love stops being about sacrifice for others and becomes about your inability to let go? That's where the tragedy of Wonder comes in. I was definitely late to Shadow of the...
No, I didn't know what happened in the first game. I didn't know that he was having trouble letting go of his beliefs to protect his people. And now it's starting to feel like, yeah, that girl's going to be the exact opposite in every way.
Colossus. Okay, I actually didn't play it until the PS4 remake, but when I finally got to experience Wonder's story, it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. From the first moments, everything feels off. The music, the atmosphere, how your horse moves through the empty world, it all gives this really eerie feeling that what you're about to experience might not be exactly what you're expecting. That maybe you might not be the traditional hero. Our protagonist, Wonder, either doesn't notice or doesn't care. Mono, his lifeless maiden, is gone, and bringing her back is all that matters. He's already decided that he'll do whatever it takes, that he's willing to sacrifice everything. It's interesting that the game never even tells us why Mono died. Some sort of cursed fate is all we get, and I think that's intentional, because to Wonder, the details don't matter. She is...
Yeah, it doesn't really matter why she died. The whole point is you trying to bring her back. Like, if you were trying to fix what was wrong, that would be important. But if your whole thing is his journey of getting back what he wants, no matter what, yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Dead, and he'll sacrifice anything to get her back. His morality, his humanity, his soul, if he needs to. Wander is just this young, completely broken man, and when you see him holding Mono's body in that opening scene, you can just see that he's not accepting reality. His love for her is so complete that he's willing to give up everything else. Everything that makes him human just for the chance to hold her again. That's when we meet Dorman, an ancient entity that tells him he can bring Mono back by killing the Colossi. Wander doesn't hesitate, and he agrees to sacrifice these ancient, peaceful beings without question. The game sets it all up perfectly, and we, as the players, want to help this grieving man bring back the woman that he loves. But here's what makes
And slay big monsters.
Wander's sacrifice is so tragic. Everything he goes through, all the colossi he kills, it is such a one-sided experience that is clearly biased towards his views and goals. He doesn't know anything about these giants just existing in their own land, just that he has to go and kill them. It's not because he's cruel, it's almost like they're not even real to him. There's this weird separation or disconnect between Wander and the actions that he's taking.
Isn't there also things you collect for some reason? I don't remember what it is. But you need like to get the last one, I think you need like the best upgrade of something maybe. And I think it's like after you finish the game or something. I don't remember. I remember seeing something about like terrible trophies and achievements, and this was on it.
And the game frames it all so well with the atmosphere, the setting, the sound design. Mono is the only thing that is real to Wander. His grief has made him blind to everything else. These creatures could be beautiful, ancient, magnificent, but none of it really matters. They're not Mono, so they don't count. He is willing to sacrifice their lives, their beauty, their ancient peace, all for one person that he can't live without. The first Colossus is this massive, peaceful creature just existing in the empty world. Beautiful, ancient, alone. When Wander climbs onto it and starts killing it, there's no hesitation, no recognition of what he's destroying. Just cold determination, because he's already decided that this creature's life is worth less than Mono's.
Is it alive, or is it just like an enchanted golem walking around? That doesn't mean it has feelings or thoughts or anything.
Each kill, Wander physically transforms. He gets paler, sickly, his clothes become more tattered, his hair gets darker, horns start to grow. But the game never shows his reaction to any of these changes. Again, there's this thick separation and disconnection from everything. There's no mirror scenes, no horrified realizations.
Oh, that's
Either
cool.
He doesn't
I didn't know that he changes physical appearance. Nobody ever mentioned that in any of the things I saw.
notice what's happening to him, or he doesn't care. It's just him and his mission.
I'm gonna guess he doesn't notice because he can't look at himself. Did they have mirrors? Like, what in the game is there for him to see what color his hair is?
And his love for Mono has consumed everything. He is sacrificing his very humanity, piece by piece, and none of it matters to him as long as she can return. The final Colossus is this massive lumbering giant that, to be honest, was actually pretty hard for me to beat. Wander chases it down, he climbs up its body while it tries to shake him off, and
why does he have a fence on his shoulder? Is there a point to that?
through it all, he never stops, never questions, never hesitates. He is willing to sacrifice this giant's life, just like all the others. And finally, when the game ends, we have to watch this awful scene of Wander being physically dragged away from Mono's body. The thing, the person, the love that he has been so focused on the entire time. He is ripped away from her and pulled into this vortex. Dorman, now released, keeps his promise. Mono lives. But Wander becomes some kind of infant creature, sacrificed and transformed beyond recognition. His refusal to let go cost him everything. His humanity, his
I wonder if she wakes up and dedicates her life trying to find him, or she just kind of moves on. Like, do we get to see her reaction? Like, what she plans to do?
Aggro, and ultimately his ability to even be there for the person he sacrificed everything to bring back. He gave up his soul to save her and lost the ability to love her in return. I still don't really know how I feel about the ending of this game. These three characters definitely do not make an exhaustive list of sacrificial or impactful protagonists, but they have really stayed with me because they each show a very different side of sacrificial love. Gustav gave up his life for Mael because she represented everything he worked towards. His legacy made real. He sacrificed his future, his dreams, his safety, everything that he built, because protecting her mattered more than protecting himself. Jin abandoned his honor and lost his family because protecting his people mattered more than preserving his identity. He sacrificed everything that made him who he was, his name, his relationships, his place in the world, so others could be free. Wander got what he wanted, but at the cost of everything that would have made it meaningful. He sacrificed his humanity, his morality, even his ability to be with Mono, all because he couldn't let go. These games work so well because you end up building genuine relationships with these characters who feel real, even in impossible worlds. And when you care that deeply, their sacrifices hit so much harder. That's why the loss of Gustav and
no offense, but that middle one where he just sacrificed his belief in how to use poison darts, not as bad as the first and third one.
The lack of Jin in the sequel aren't things that you can just forget about. We need more characters like these three men. Please give us more characters like this. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. And if you've played through these games, please let me know in the comments.
Honestly, she made me want to play through at least 2 of these games. Like, I don't know about Shadow of the Colossus. That looked really boring and depressing. But the other 2, she kind of made me want to play the second one. First one I already wanted to play, but that wasn't high on priority. She did move it up the list, though.
Characters hit you just as hard, or if there's another character who impacted you in a similar way. I would love to hear about it. Thanks again for being
Yuna from Final Fantasy X. Her entire life was her being raised to sacrifice herself. And then when that was taken away from her, she had no idea what to do with herself. That poor girl. And then she ended up losing something that was very important to her, but getting to live on without it. So that was kind of Shadow of the Colossus. But like, maybe if there was a precursor where you doing something is what killed the girl that you then had to save, there we go.
Here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye, background NBC. Go check her out. She is delightful. Give her a like and sub. Give me a like and sub too, or like and comment. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. All 3 is fantastic. I do reactions every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm only doing this on Wednesday because we finished Dragon Age of Veilguard, and I don't want to play another game and tie those together and just get the nasty taste in my mouth of Veilguard before I start sampling on something delicious like Pokemon Y that we're about to start. So catch me on Sunday for reactions, 2 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/MPlayTheJolly. I will see you there. And leave a comment down below if you played those games, and tell me why I should play them. I would love to hear like the experience from people who actually played the games, not just like people who are doing like top 10 lists and stuff like that. All right, catch you later, guys. Stay safe, stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, and take care of somebody else. Mwah! Love and nachos.